thing. You do your own thing. You know that it's true. You are what you do.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to Pyrograph Live from the Albuquerque Press Club. I'm Perry Packery, your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Pyrograph, which is an online creative career magazine. We publish daily posts from working artists, filmmakers, photographers, musicians, and all kinds of other creatives sharing entertaining stories and lessons learned. Check us out at pyrograph.com. Also, we would love for you to call into the show. I got my phone right here just waiting for your calls at 562-MIMOSA-5. That's 562-646-6725. You can call in and ask questions of us. We're going to talk with some of our Pyrograph in-house team, and also you can ask questions of our guest, who is Jessamine Lovell. She's the author of the book Dear Erin Hart, which is a book about following and photographing the person who stole her identity, which is really cool. Jessamine Lovell is here on the show. She'll be on in a few minutes. So call and ask questions of any of us. But before we bring Jessamine on, I'd like to say hi to my co-hosts. Josh Stuyvesant is here for the first... Have you sat in this chair before yet?
I've never sat in this chair.
This is exciting. Hey, welcome.
Hey, I'm better at sitting in the chair for Self-Employed Happy Hour because it gets me out of bed in the morning.
No, I know. It's a morning show.
It gives me an opportunity to drink early.
Bringing back day drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our regular co-host, Clark Conde, our creative director at Pyrograph.
I need no excuse to drink early.
No. Well, welcome to both of you. Yeah, we have done a whole lot of shows during the daytime, which is great. And now here we are. It's nice to have you over here.
I'm like Ellen DeGeneres, and Jay Leno's right over there.
Yeah.
Right? Daytime.
Sure, that'll work.
Sure, more of a daytimer.
Over behind the control seat, we still got to get that third camera. God, I got to get over to Best Buy or something. But we've got Jeremy Kinter, who sometimes pops over here and talks about in-house stuff and then pops back into our engineering seat. But hey, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How's it going over there?
Thanks for troubleshooting. We've had a couple technical problems
as
today,
always,
as usual.
That's great.
But yeah, so okay, really quick, I want to talk about the old shows. This is our 8th show we figured out.
It's absolutely incredible.
Our 8th one. Hey, cheers. Where's your drink? Sweet. 8 episodes of Pyrograph Live from the Albuquerque Press Club. 8 is great. So we got all those shows done, but they weren't really up. So if you missed them live, we were behind. We had a glut. We had a log jam.
People could watch them over and over again.
But they couldn't, though, because I didn't have them up.
Well, now they can.
Now they can. So you go to it's youtube.com/PyrographTV. We call it our Pyrograph TV channel.
Sure.
youtube.com/PyrographTV, and now you can find all the old episodes except for one. I still got to upload.
Which will be up.
The most recent one
and
with
then this
Little
one
Bobby
too.
Tucker, and this one will be up tomorrow.
Then people can binge watch.
So let's just quickly run through. This is exciting, right? So we had our what we like to call our inaugural debut, which was all the way back on September 18th.
Right.
It seems like yesterday, right?
Wow.
Okay, then
Yep.
we had Sam Miller, which was awesome.
That was great.
We had Steve Westman,
Steve's awesome.
one of my favorite people in the world, talking about 505 Faces. We had Len and Donna Romano.
Yep. Len was
also great people.
Yeah, excellent.
We had Mara Woody, who Mara, she's going to come. I'm bribing her. I'm twisting her arm into teaching me how to use my microcord.
She's hibernating, I heard.
Well, she is, but she said that she would help me figure out my microcord. I've got this great keyboard.
Yeah.
I have dreams of learning how to do electronic music. I'm going to do it.
Maybe for
I'm
the
excited.
show on the 10th.
But I need her to help me. So, Mara, you said she'd help me. She said she would help me, and I know she will because she's a wonderful, sweet person. And then after that was Ryan Leonsky and Shondine Woodward.
With Sky Pets. Awesome.
Who made Sky Pets. My kids are bugging me every fucking day.
Yeah, constantly.
About doing
I've
Sky
heard
Pets now.
Sky Pets, yeah.
And then we had Little Bobby.
And then Little Bobby.
God love Little Bobby.
Little Bobby's going to be up. People can look for that on pyrograph.com.
This is 8.
That'd be 7 with Little Bobby, and then this is the 8th, and off we go.
This is a great opportunity to say, send in your questions for Little Bobby. We've been running. Little Bobby is Pyrograph's new advice columnist. I personally have been loving his advice.
Yeah. I think it's helped a lot of people.
We ran one, was it today or yesterday? It's all
today.
a blur. Was it today? Today's Thursday. That's right.
Posted
he gave
early.
advice to, it was hours ago. He gave advice to a musician who was really disillusioned and demoralized and broken down.
And then also to one of these couples that they run into these political problems where, I mean, involving I don't know, some prominent presidential candidates
with
that,
the comb over.
That's
Yeah,
just like my
it's-
dog and my cat.
right.
He's no Dear Abby, Lil Bobby, you know? Both in the sense that his capacity for advice giving is amazing.
Yes.
And that it's tough love, you know? He's not
He
afraid
don't-
to give it
It's-
to your heart.
He's not a
Tough and
pussyfooter, no
compassionate.
doubt.
No, he's not a pussy, but he's very compassionate.
He is.
He is.
Yes.
I mean, you know, he will tell you straight,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but he it's
He's-
not
he's there to help.
mean-spirited in
Yeah.
any way.
He's there to help.
And I think he calls it like
So
it is.
people can
Send
bring
in
in
your
questions.
Yeah.
Where do they do that?
Dear Little Bobby at pyrograph.com. They can email that.
Or
They can go to his Twitter feed, which is twitter.com/Dear Little Bobby.
there you go.
Or just any of the different ways through Pyrograph.
Sure.
You can contact. So anyway,
Great.
send your questions in for Little
Little
Bobby. So all of those people are on.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so where do you go on Pyrograph's site? You go to pyrograph.com/live.
Live, yeah.
And all the old episodes are archived, as this one will be tomorrow.
Absolutely great.
It took a lot of work, man.
I think people
it took
can.
me a while.
You know, this might be a good thing for people during the holidays, Thanksgiving.
go.
Maybe with the family, sit down, watch all the episodes in a row. We'll have another one even after that. I mean, and then there's,
true.
so why not?
It's true. And we did a new logo.
The logo's great.
Can I tell a story? I didn't
Sure.
post it. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook
You should
Public.
you should probably save the story and make it a post.
I should say, but I'm pretty good with Photoshop, and I made a new logo, and I didn't have time. Usually I hire a designer or something. I didn't have time, and I wanted the log cabin frame,
Yeah.
right? And everything else is just Photoshop. I'm good at that, but I can't draw to save my life. And I just did it, and I was like, if you go to pyrograph.com/live, you'll see it. It's
I think it looks great.
I cringe when I look at it, but my husband Turtle, he's
Really?
like, it looks great. Sheila's like, it looks great. People are saying it looks nice. I'm
does.
not
Oh, it
fishing
does.
for
It looks
compliments.
great.
I'm
It looks
telling
great.
you, I was like, So then I shared it with a private group on Facebook. I'm like, I can't pull the trigger. I can't do it. I can't
Yeah.
do it. I got to make this live. So thank you everybody who
Sure.
told me just to make it live. So we got
That's
a new
great.
logo now.
That was one of the exciting things that happened this past week.
It was exciting.
What else happened that was exciting?
We purged Pyrograph Studio. A bunch of people came by and took a whole bunch of free legal books.
That was fun.
It was awesome.
There were good books in there.
There are. I have been a business writer for 15 plus years.
And
I got
all-
a lot of books, and I don't
a lot of
use
old
them anymore.
editions.
I have old editions of my books. I have all the books I used to collect to educate myself,
Right.
which I no longer do. I do all my stuff online.
I picked my
I
personally.
gave 'em away.
I picked up one of my favorites, the Dictionary of Cliches.
That was a good
which
one.
I could have written, I suppose, myself. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just water under the bridge.
You're the walking dictionary. Of
I went through a
cliches,
whole
Clark.
bunch of
Yes, well,
old
thank you.
Pleasure.
paperwork and stuff. I found an old Playboy with Anna Nicole on the cover.
That was a
I
good
took
one.
photos and stuff. I put it on Facebook, and people are like, it helped get people through the door. Somebody took that.
I bet
Gave
they
it away.
did.
They That was collectible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I got it. So we did that, and I'll mention that our wonderful studio, which is at the factory on 5th, that's where we did it. We've been in there for a really long time.
That's a great
We're
place.
It is a great place, and now we finally cleaned up, and it's great. And just as a side note, they're planning all kinds of cool new
Yeah.
things that I'm not really at liberty to give details of the new activities and events that they're planning. But today I went to a zoning hearing because they needed
Right.
a zoning change, and I stepped up and I said I support this wholeheartedly. It's great for the art community in Albuquerque. Blah blah blah.
So
And
what-
it went through with
Right.
all the people. I think it was the Environmental Planning Commission.
Yeah.
They were all like enthusiastic, like the factory on 5th. Jerry Miller, you do great things for the community, and the Cosmos is
Right.
going to be able to do new things soon.
And we don't
cool.
want to get into what it is, but I will say that that's a part of this community that doesn't have a heliport. So
No, it's true. They don't.
just
They don't.
Yet.
yeah,
So they don't have one yet.
right,
I've been talking too long. I want to get our guest on, but
sure,
Josh, I'm sorry. I just talked through my whole 10 minutes.
I
yeah.
know.
We had
Yeah.
a
You
lot of
always
stuff going
do.
on.
We had a lot of
No,
stuff
I
going on. There was things we had Dear Little
you always
Bobby.
do.
We should at least mention we have office hours next week.
We have office hours next Wednesday.
What I'm doing isn't that exciting, but what are you doing? Have
What are
you
you
been up to
working on?
anything? We were
Yes.
we were
Well,
we were in
we've
the studio
we've been
this
talking
week. That
about
was exciting.
Brandish week after week, and
Sure.
Yeah.
now our viewers can see this is like a joint effort between you two.
Sure.
Today we shot Alejandro Montoya, who is the main man behind 4.5 Films, and he's great. And it was my first interaction with him, and he was just Man, he was the sweetest guy.
Awesome.
And really intelligent.
Yep.
And he's excited about Pyrograph, and he loves us, so I'm excited to do more stuff with him.
We
That's
did a
great.
good shoot. We had a
Yeah.
good shoot out there.
I want to meet him. Alejandro.
Over
I'm
at
gonna track you
Telemundo.
down.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
Okay, we're
depart.
gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back. Thanks
I'll be
for
back.
coming tonight. Yeah.
I'll be back.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna introduce our guest.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Jessamine Lovell, she was on our panel about we had a marketing
The colloquium.
we had a great colloquium about how artists can promote themselves well and effectively in a way that doesn't make themselves feel creepy. And she was like the first one I wanted to invite.
Sure.
Come on over, Jessamine. I wanted to invite her right away because she's a photographer. She wrote a book called Dear Erin Hart. It's a photography book, and I first landed on my radar in Hyperallergic. I believe it was the first one, and then it was like. Once I noticed, it was like then she was everywhere, and then she was on the Today Show, and I'm like, what the hell? How do you, as an
Right.
artist,
Right.
make this all happen? So
Right.
she came on our panel, and I've gotten to know her a little bit, and she's great. And you gave great advice during the panel. So you're a lecturer in the art history department. Besides Dear Erin Hart, you've exhibited nationally, internationally, maybe. You've won a bunch of awards. So we're super excited to
Welcome.
have you,
Thank you.
on
I'm
our
excited
show,
to be
Jessamine
here.
Lovell. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. This
Yeah.
is really a super unique delight to.
Well, welcome to the the
Here,
flight
listen
deck
there.
here. Yeah, lean into the mic. We're
This is-
we're,
yeah.
we're here at the Albuquerque
Hello.
Press Club, and it's great to have you here. You're on the
Thanks.
Have
flight
you been to
deck.
the press club before?
Yeah, I love this place.
Isn't
And
it
I
great?
have to say, I was in the private face group that voted to make sure that logo made it through. And you didn't second guess it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Third guess
That's
it.
great.
It was
That's
awesome.
great.
And I'm
Thank you.
so glad to see it up there.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I have many skills. I don't count drawing in there, but anyway.
I can't
No. Thanks so much for coming. It turns out Clark was checking out your background. You guys have a history in Rochester.
Oh.
We have a we have
Crazy,
a,
right?
a
I
share-
noticed we had a couple mutual friends that I was like, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Yeah, I didn't look at that.
That's
Okay,
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I'm
No.
I'm a Rochester native, so
okay, I'm a Syracuse native.
well, and
There you go.
condolences.
Yeah, same
all
here.
around. Yeah.
But we're not there this
I
winter,
know this
right?
is such a wonderful thing, and one of the things that our viewers, the two that I've talked to, have said is, please don't spend the entire show just complaining about upstate New York. So I don't want to do that, but
And you're both
You do
photographers.
wanna do it,
and you're
though.
both
but it's
photographers.
hard not to because you end up with some PTSD from that environment.
A little.
And it's wonderful to see you out
Thanks.
of that area of the world and into
Well,
beautiful Albuquerque.
yeah, I mean, it is. I have to say, Rochester's an awesome place for photography in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
And I wouldn't have the work. I wouldn't be making the work I make had I not grown up in the cold tundra
Right.
of the Finger Lakes region. And,
Sure.
anyone there who's watching knows what lake effect snow is.
Sure.
Also,
I'm from Milwaukee.
what
Similar-
a mixed
similar
bag
thing.
is.
Yeah, sure.
So we don't have that here in Albuquerque. We don't have lake effect because
Or
we
water.
don't have any
There's no
lakes
lake
really.
effect.
And we
Not
don't
at all.
have a mixed bag. We just pretty much have, which is like sleet and snow for anyone who's not in the know about that. But
Right.
we don't have that really here. We have wind.
We have wind.
And we have sand, dust, and
It's like
The-
windy season and hot season.
yeah.
The other thing that we don't have, which I really enjoy about Albuquerque, is we don't have 100 freshly minted photographers being disgorged on the community every year.
It's a good point. For better, for worse, it's a good point. Yeah. Though, yeah, we have a pretty vibrant photography community here in the state.
Yes, sure.
For sure.
There's
And
great
a lot of
photographers
cool
here,
stuff going on.
but people have to make their way over
You
here.
have to, yeah.
And there are some ones that get minted over at my alma mater, University of New Mexico, where you teach.
That's where I teach.
And just to I know you went to RIT and you went on and did a number of
Rochester
other things.
Institute of Technology.
Yes.
Is that
it's
correct?
actually the
correct?
Henrietta Institute of Technology, but
Shut up.
Because it's technically in Henrietta.
it's actually not in
Yeah.
Rochester. It's in Henrietta, but
Interesting.
not for nothing. And I wanted to ask you, you've went through this, and you're over there teaching, and I just wanted to ask before we started to get into some of the things that you've done. When you're dealing with students, do you find a difference between when you went to school in photography and now, and how? I mean, I'm older than you, and so I have and grew up as a photographer and started, and I've had a 25-year career. It's different now for me. What do you tell your students? How do you
What do I tell them? They tell me a lot, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
They teach me a lot. I just learned about hashtags at that social panel, that social
Right.
media panel. So if you're my friend on Instagram, I'm sorry, but you're going to see a million hashtags
Sure,
all the
why
time.
not?
So I'm just like hashtag happy now. No, my
Right.
students taught me about Snapchat. They taught me about color profiles. I mean, I went to RIT right from 96 to 99, right when Photoshop was kind of coming
Sure.
to be a real
Wow.
like educational tool. And then and Kodak, just launched its first digital cameras in the early mid 90s. And I don't know, from the beginning, I always really related more to the process of film, and I got really into the science of it.
Right.
But then over time, I've really embraced digital, using digital ones and zeros as a tool. And so I use both in my work. And the way I frame it with my students is, there's the materiality of it, so the difference between film and digital, but there's also, just how accessible photography is all the
Sure.
time. Everyone's an artist. Everyone's a photographer. And I say embrace that, yes, that's true. Everyone is their own, in their own minds. What sets you apart?
That's
And-
interesting because I've, as a business consultant, given people advice about something related to that, like how do you set yourself apart as a professional when everybody's got a pretty nice digital camera,
Right.
but I'm less tied into the art photography world, and there I'm sure differences there. I mean, they're probably more market.
Instagram is truly a portfolio now,
That's
and
true.
actually, businesses look on Instagram for photographers to shoot their work, and Laura Presley, who's the executive director up at Center International Photography Organization in Santa Fe, will tell you if you're a professional photographer, you would be remiss not to cultivate
Sure.
your client base from your Instagram. And I don't use my Instagram that way, but I advise my students to take it very seriously. Maybe not Instagram, but whatever they're using, whatever platforms they're using, because there's so many now.
Yeah.
Right.
And just know that whenever you say something on the internet out loud, it's like reaching everyone. You just have to
Right.
assume that. And so that's
Right.
a big difference. And that was almost the opposite problem when I was, when I was an undergrad, was like, how do I reach people?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
sure,
so it's almost
absolutely.
an opposite problem in a weird way.
Totally.
It's interesting. It's really fascinating.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No, we could talk forever about this, but let's talk a little bit about the things that you've done.
I want to
and-
ask just a little bit about the project that you've gotten a ton of recognition for in the last year or so,
Sure.
which is Dear Erin Hart.
I figured.
Well, I just because it put you on my radar and so many people's radar, and it was such a success story in promoting yourself as an artist, and of course, artists struggle with that. How do you
Sure.
get your name out there? How do you? And as we talked about at our panel, you used some old school techniques, not so much social
Right.
media, but then it bled into social media. It was great. So if you could just tell our viewers a little bit about the
Yeah.
project and how it blew up.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of a really interesting, windy story that has its ups and downs. And I think that what people like so much about it is this thing happened to me. So this woman, Erin Hart, used my identity to commit crimes that I had to go to court for. I had to get out
She
of.
stole
I had to
your
clear my
wallet,
name.
right? That's how.
So
That's how it
someone stole my wallet.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to be ever
Got it.
accused of slander
There you
or, I don't know that she stole the wallet, but someone did. And then she ended up with the ID that she used. So it was my New Mexico State driver's license. The summons to appear in court was in my name. The bills from the rental car agencies and everything else were all in my name. And so I spent 9 months getting out of jail, I wasn't actually in
Yeah.
jail, but I was very close. And
Your name was getting dragged.
my name was getting
through.
dragged in the mud. And this is a classic identity theft story. And the difference with mine happened to be that it was with my ID, not with my credit card. So it was someone else's credit cards.
Sure.
So that happened, and I had just moved here about
What
a year
year is this?
before. That was 2011, and I had just moved to Albuquerque from San Francisco in 2009, and I was trying to really reinvent myself, forge my identity as an artist here, find my way into the communities. One of those ways was to secure a job, a teaching job, and I happened to be teaching at a new school. I was teaching at what's now SUVA, Southwest University of Visual Arts, and I actually had to go to my supervisor there and ask for a letter as a witness, and the police were calling my, so anyway, it was a nightmare. And I think what people find really exciting and really they get excited about reading in the story is that I took that experience and I made an art piece out of it, But then I was able, like you said, to promote it in a way that it became a sort of like, popular culture, like interest.
Yeah.
It was of interest to people beyond the art world. And that's this piece that I think a lot of people want and they don't know how to get. And honestly, I don't think there's a formula, but I will say the story was timely because
It
of
was.
identity theft.
Sure.
The story was definitely timely. And, people love a sort of a whodunit or like
And turning the tables.
turning the tables.
I mean,
exactly.
that's a great theme.
Turning the tables.
So,
But you also did old school media
Yeah.
relations.
Yeah,
I just
sorry.
wanna throw-
Exactly.
I want to
Right.
throw that out there because, again, I mean, I'm in my mid-40s, and, so I don't know if I'm, attached to, but like the lowly press release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Everybody
sent
now
out
thinks
press
it's got to be
releases.
like a viral video or
Yeah.
something.
No,
but
no,
you
no, no.
seem-
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if I would feel as comfortable doing something like a video that I was trying to get viral.
Yeah.
Like everything I did was purely out of like, hey, I have this book coming out. Let me try to send some releases out. So what did I do? I sat down and I made a list, a very short list, honestly, of venues or like sources I use to look at art, to look at culture, to look at stories. And I sent press releases to Hyperallergic, who picked it up, and Beautiful Decay, who I've loved for all time, like since like
It must
the
have been very
started in the late 90s.
exciting.
So as soon
to get
as
responses.
as soon as these places started to, and it's funny because I was sitting there that night, I'll never forget, I was sitting there that night writing the press release and thinking, do I want to make this sensational? Do I want to try to
Yeah.
hook them in? And I remember my husband saying, well, maybe just write it in your own tone, your own voice, and just, it's an interesting story. They'll pick it up. And I was like, okay. And so I did that. And I put one of the really like provocative images of her, and it's clear that I'm following her. And it just one after another. And I think when it really blew up was Daily Mail UK, who I had not sent a press release to, picked it up right before Thanksgiving. And I think people are kind of home around Thanksgiving and kind of, mucking around on the computer.
Right.
And then boom, all of a sudden, like outlet after outlet after
What
outlet
year
is
is this?
contacting me. This is last year, this time.
last year,
Yeah, a year
right?
ago. Yeah, so I sent that press release out, traditional, like, I think I might have even had the, like, pound signs, the
Yeah,
hashtags
yeah,
at the
exactly,
end,
the
it said,
same
and whatever that symbol is. Yeah, so I literally did send a press release out. And
that you pounded out. There's 3
Yeah.
at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm showing
Old school.
something, but
you did, no, really.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. But I also kind of used a hybrid, which was a collection of,
Yeah.
blogs and sources online. And really, it was just an effort to get validation and to get the promotion from places that I respected, and that was really the key. And then it kind of snowballed and got
Interesting.
crazy. Yeah.
that's wild.
That's very cool.
And so, I know you were on the it wasn't the afternoon show or
The Today Show.
It was the Today.
The Today
That's
Show,
what
the
it
morning
was.
one. Yeah.
It should have been called the morning show, but whatever it is. So a producer just called you one day and was like, "Hey, would you like to go on the show?" Is
Yeah.
that pretty
Yeah.
much how that one worked?
Yeah. There was a. His name was Josh, actually, who reached out to me from the Today Show and asked me, if I was interested, and I'm like, and then, all the things, the details started to fall in place, and I think I was in my studio when I finally got it solidified. My studio is at SCA, and I just ran over to Tammy, who's the
Yeah.
owner of Good Science, and I was like,
Tammy!
I have to tell someone, and I think I did that with This American Life too with her. I was like, I have to tell
Yeah.
someone, it's happening. But she was just like, wait, what? And we just had this moment of and it was surreal. It was like,
That's
okay,
amazing.
that's happening. Like, I'm
Right.
going to Denver, and I'm going to open this show at this little nonprofit gallery, Colorado Photographic Arts Center. And I always have to give them a shout out because they were
That's
the first
great.
ones, the first
Sure.
ones to agree,
Right, yeah.
to
Right.
show the work. And they came and interviewed me, and it was such an amazing experience, like working with pros,
Right.
That's totally cool.
It's really cool.
Well, and then so locally your studio is over at SCA, and I know they're
Yeah.
moving to this really
They
cool new space,
are.
which is great. And then you were showing over at Nancy's Doodles Gallery, Central Features, which I hear they're moving as well.
They are,
Which is
yes.
Very exciting.
or
It's
or
all-
something, yeah.
it's all in the
so
works
it's really
for
cool
January.
to know. I would imagine it must be fun for you also then to bring attention to these other
Absolutely.
organizations, galleries,
Whatever
studios.
I can do, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
That must be really. As it turns out, you're next door. You are currently SCA hasn't moved quite yet, right?
Right.
You're
They're still
like
over
you're
in
my
your fifth.
neighbor.
Yeah.
Because we're at Factory on Fifth, which is
Right.
directly
Right.
next door.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
what
like
a
right
small
there.
world, right?
Yeah, and then we walk over to Tractor, Wells
Yeah,
Fargo.
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I am going to miss that part of it. I was telling
Yeah.
Sky that, but I'm happy to be next to Zendo. We're going to
Right.
be moving over there in January.
No, it's really great.
Yeah.
You did a podcast with Jeremy a few months ago, and you
So
talked a lot
fun.
about
Our
privacy.
engineer,
Yes.
Our
Jeremy.
engineer, AV tech guy. Excuse me. You've talked a lot about privacy issues.
Yeah.
Your husband Lee.
Yes. Who's here?
His last name Montgomery, right?
Yes.
Is a professor also on the subject of privacy and drones, right?
So that's
Focusing
his
on-
area of research, and his title, I guess, is associate professor. He just got tenure, which is
Which
a
is
huge,
really
big deal.
interesting.
Got
That's great.
tenure. Yep.
Congrats.
At UNM in electronic art.
Electronic art.
Electronic art. Yep.
So this is just fast. So you guys are like working in this area of privacy, and I had some questions also about like privacy of taking photos in private spaces of yards and drones. What kind of? I mean,
you did have a question about that, didn't you?
more than a passing interest, but it was just a small
Right,
thing.
sure.
But hearing the show and hearing you guys talking about, and this is at Pyrograph's website somewhere. I can't remember but it's really kind of amazing how far these boundaries are being pushed right now, and that must
absolutely.
be a great area to be working in.
It's really inspiring. I mean, I was so psyched when I came in for the interview, and I was interviewing Lee, and then I was interviewed by Josh and Jeremy, and they brought up Arne Svensson, who is like super inspiration to me, and I was like, I'm gonna get along with these guys just fine,
Yeah.
you know. And I kind of just knew that I could trust them in the tone and how to, you know, represent what we were doing.
Sure.
And they did an amazing job editing it and putting it together. And I was really excited to have a chance to publicly have a conversation with Lee that we have frequently about, you know, these issues and just working through them with each other as sounding boards, and not that we've collaborated much
Yeah.
on anything in that realm, and we're working on it. We're working towards it slowly. And we have a 3.5-year-old, so that
Right.
slows the process a little bit.
He's going to
but-
be the preeminent expert on these issues,
Yeah.
like next year
or not.
Yeah, yeah.
or not at all. But so that was a really cool opportunity because we were able to see. When I listened to the podcast, I was like, wow. Oh, we really work in similar areas. Like I hadn't, you know,
Yeah.
I think we both had been moving towards those areas over time.
Yeah.
And if you look at my older work, my previous work is all about my family. And I grew up quite poor in upstate New York, and really put the lens on myself and on my family to share with the world, to talk about class issues.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started, and I didn't really think about it as privacy. I just thought about it as
Sure.
like, I got to do this. Like this has to happen. But over time now I see like that's been an evolution in my work for sure.
What do you see where do you see things going, and what are your concerns or areas of excitement?
With privacy issues,
Yeah.
gosh, it's all kind of both.
Surveillance?
It's all, yeah.
Photography. I mean,
So the way I think about it is, you know, we have all these tools like right at our hands, and you know, anyone can take a drone flying lesson. You know, anyone can learn how to use a drone, and maybe the equipment isn't accessible, you know, financially as, you know, easily as like, you know, a pencil or a pen,
Sure.
but as a tool, as a technology,
not a
it's pretty
$50,000
affordable.
thing
Right,
anymore.
it's
It's-
not. And
yeah.
you know, Lee, even just in the past couple of years, he got research funds for several $1,000s to purchase a drone or drones, and they're all now going out. Like even just a couple of years later, of you know, they're going into obsolescence, and so updating the new drones, it's like so much cheaper.
What I've
So
heard
people
is
can just use these
Crazy.
tools.
what I've heard is Black Friday sales. It's the biggest
I
biggest
bet.
seller.
Oh, I bet.
Biggest seller
I don't
they're
doubt it.
expecting is
I don't
these
doubt it.
drones.
and the irony of Amazon eventually delivering
Totally.
the drones.
That was a good
see.
press release.
with
drone.
with the drones. I know.
Right,
We'll
exactly.
see. Well, I think it's like you know, like I said, there's both. It's the best and worst of both worlds. It's like, you know, we have access, we have the internet, right? But we also then have creepy people who are on the internet wreaking havoc. You know, I mean, we have drones. People are going to use drones
Creepy
for
people
creepy
with
things,
drones.
whatever. But
Yeah.
just because
Terrible.
someone's flying a drone doesn't mean it has a camera. Let's be
Right.
real. Like, not everyone is flying a drone just to have a camera.
Let
on
me
it.
let me ask you this, because this has always been the horror whenever I've talked with photographers about, you know, as technology increases, and they've always said to me, well, is the drone just going to go out and shoot somebody's wedding?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
Someone
and
has to
that's
fly
really,
it.
I mean,
I don't see a problem
that's
with
really
that
going to
personally.
be, you know, that's really going to be the issue when the drone just goes out and shoots somebody's wedding. It's really
Well, you'll
gonna
be able to
bring down-
program it so it
just
can do
program
that. Yeah.
it, does the whole
Sure.
thing.
But
It's
I
stand
don't
over there,
see.
deal
I
with the
don't.
uncle. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
process.
I don't see it the technology advancing quickly enough. I
Right.
mean, otherwise, I'm psyched to just be in Battlestar Galactica where we have
Yeah,
Cylons. Like, I'm down for that.
Sure.
But
You're
the
ready.
drones, I'm ready. But the drones are not going to take the place of
Well,
someone
and that's the
shooting
difference
crafty
when you
and
start to
beautiful
look at the difference
images.
between photographers who are an individual and technology, and where you get to. You look at Instagram, you look at the digital thing, and you get into drones that can take pictures. Well, at what point is it a difference between trying to get into someone's individual ability to interpret information and
Yeah.
generate a decent photograph, or technology's ability to just. I'm sure this is what you go through with your students, but
Sure. No, and I think that it goes back to RIT again and the lesson I learned there. I had this Pentax K1000. I still have it to this day, and haven't shot with it in a while, but this crappy 50 millimeter
Sure.
lens. And I remember going into a class with Andrew David Hazy, and mad respect for him and for the technologies that he works with. But he looked at my camera, my lens, and he was like, that is not going to work in this class. And it was the kind of class that was called high speed and time lapse photography, where you're shooting a bullet out of a gun and taking a picture. And I remember feeling like, you know what? I don't need to do that then. Like, I need to do
Right.
what I need to do with what I have.
Right.
And yes, what I love, I was in conversation with Canon about sponsorship, and like, would I love that? Would I love to have like a super fast telephoto lens or a super fast, awesome wide angle? Like, would I love the newest DSLR? Of course, but how do I make my work? How do I see without that? And I can do that with my, camera phone. I can do that with a point and shoot.
the K1000, which I had one back in
Dude,
the
it's my
80s,
favorite.
I called the Smasher.
It's a tank.
And the reason I called it the Smasher was when I would use, I shot something else, but I'd bring the K1000 when I was going to shoot the band that I knew it was going to be a problem.
Totally.
And I'd bring it with me because it's totally durable.
Yep.
It didn't need a battery, and
doesn't
I could
cost
hit
a lot.
and I could hit guys in the head with it if they were coming
Back
at me.
off.
Awesome use for it.
And that
The
I did,
Smasher,
yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
yeah, and you come back, it's a little bloody. Somebody
I shot my whole first set of work about my family called Catastrophe, Crisis, and Other Family Traditions in upstate New York. I shot it with my Pentax K1000 and a little sun pack flash.
Sure.
And Kodak Gold 100.
There
and
you
it
go.
was like
Gold 100.
And you know what?
I
I print
remember
those
the-
suckers
I even remember-
at
I'm not
30 by
a
It's
40.
not even
I
a
remember
pro
that,
film.
yeah.
It's just like
Exactly.
you
The
just went out.
shittiest,
Oh,
and
that's so
it
great.
was the best grain. It
That's
was fine,
wonderful.
and I loved it. I
That's
would shoot with it to this
awesome.
day. If
Yeah,
I could.
sure. That's great. That's a
Amazing.
wonderful
Well,
story.
thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having
we
me.
are looking forward to having you as a repeat guest
Awesome.
again.
Anytime.
It reminds me also of Zach Sutton, who was somebody that was on
Sure.
our Self-Employed Happy Hour podcast. He was a local photographer. He's moved to L.A., but I've seen photos that he bought some like fancy drone, and he keeps posting these photos of and video of using it and like being afraid he's going to injure himself or
Yes.
someone else.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
the struggle is real.
So
The
Zach,
it is.
Zach,
You can ask the
maybe
lead.
this is when we do our Pyrograph road trip
From
to
LA.
LA.
That's gotta
And
happen.
when we talk with Zach.
Well, I'll be there in January, so
Oh,
maybe
really?
we can do
Oh.
a whole. We're gonna drive. We're taking
my.
Rudy. We're
Do
gonna
it.
drive.
Okay. January.
And I just have to tell you, I
January's
didn't
a
get
great
chance, but I am actually going to be going to LA for top secret, sort of not top secret interview with Aaron Hart's best friend from high school.
Oh,
I'm
the
liking
plot-
this a ton. I'm liking this a ton. We got to
the
wrap.
saga continues.
Let's
Nice to
talk
see you
about that.
guys.
I love
Yeah.
you too. Zach, we're going to find you. Thanks for another great show.
Thank
Right.
Show number 8. This is
8 is
exciting.
great.
Yeah, it is great. Thank you so much to Pyrograph sponsors, the Cachette Ideas and Innovation Center, Music Around Albuquerque. Thanks always to the Pyrograph team extraordinaire, Sage Harrington, Josh Stuyvesant, Jeremy Kinter, Clark Conde, contributing editor-at-large Eva Avenue, who I hear is coming to town soon.
I've heard this.
This is top secret.
Only-
I don't know exactly
only
when.
rumors.
Thanks always to my husband, Turtle O'Toole, for technical support. Huge thanks to our guest, Jessamine Lovell. We don't have we're not booked next week yet. We're not.
There's some
we're
great
not.
ideas.
We're not quite sure, but we're going to be back next week.
We are
We
definitely
will
gonna be
come
back
back
next week.
6 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to be here live from the Albuquerque Press Club. So come back for more tales from the creative front lines. Talk soon.
You know who you are. 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 You know that it's true. There's no one like you. There's nobody like